Good morning and welcome to On the Money right here on WDBO AM 580, always streaming inside your WDBO app. You know, this time of day at this station at this time, you'll hear Joe Bert and company with the team at Certified Financial Group, as you have for nearly 40 years on the airwaves here on AM 580. They have experience in the market over 400. It's got to be almost 500 years of experience inside those walls now, Joe, because people seem to come and they stay and they just keep getting more and more experience. So if you want to call in, we've got somebody here available to answer your question, pretty much whatever question you may have. If they don't know it, they are better out at finding the answer than you may be, because that's exactly what they specialize in, what they went to school for, what they've been doing, what their goals are to answer your questions. Today we have Grant Kennedy and Joe Bert, two certified financial planners with the Certified Financial Group. How you guys doing today?
Good, Josh. Thank you. Good to be back with you and our listening audience. We are here, as you said, to answer questions that might be on our listeners' minds, things that you're trying to figure out regarding your mutual funds, IRA, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, reverse mortgages, life insurance, all those things. And Grant and I and the 15 of the Certified Financial Planners work with our clients day in and day out, providing retirement planning and investment management for a fee. But on Saturday morning, we are here for you absolutely free. This is not a 1-hour infomercial. In fact, it's the only call-in show. It's the only show on the weekend that is a call-in show. The rest of them are 1-hour infomercials, but we are here to help you. So the good news for you is if there's anything on your mind, things you've been trying to discern, things you're trying to figure out, we are here to help you, and the lines are absolutely wide open. So pick up the phone and dial these magic numbers.
844-580-9326, 844-580-WDBO, or feel free to send in that open mic using your very own free WDBO app. The topic of today's show for Grant and Joe, how to build generational wealth.
Well, let me do a little formal introduction here this morning to our listeners that may not have heard. In fact, you have not heard the voice of Mr. Grant Kennedy, our newly minted certified financial planner. Grant's been doing this now for how many years, Grant?
This is going on 2 years now, Joe.
2 years, there you go. And why don't you tell the listeners exactly your background?
Well, good morning, Joe, Josh, and listeners. My name is Grant Kennedy. I'm a certified financial planner and an accredited investment fiduciary. Came from South Florida, went to the University of Florida. I'm a double Gator, got my master's in international business, and I'm here speaking with you today about generational wealth. Most applicably, I am a Gen Z advisor.
There you go. Yeah. Grant is a rising star here in the company. You know, we got a youth movement going on in case you haven't kept up with it. The old guys are, still here, but we depend on the youth today to bring us new ideas and new concepts, and Grant is certainly a rising star in that regard. He's really an asset to our company. So we brought him in today because I mentioned in the intro, we've been on the radio now for 40 years, but we've been around for 50 years. And we've been serving on the third generation, soon to be the fourth generation of clients here in Central Florida, which is the great-grandchildren of some of my very first clients. And one of the things, of course, we deal with not only in our original client base and their children in getting them to retirement, but, what do we have to do to prepare the younger generation for it? And this is really apropos. So we're going to cover all the generations this morning. Grant has done a lot of research on this topic, and tell us what you found.
So I was really inspired by some of the clients that come in today when it's for a couple, a family, and we sit down and for the first time in their life, they may be confronted with a number at age, we use 93 going out, for what that ending balance might be. And some people are a little shocked at what that number could grow to in terms of net worth. There's usually two reactions there. One is, well, we better spend it all now. And the other is, how do we start planning now to set up the next generation, our kids and grandkids, for success?
There you go.
I went back and I read up on the Vanderbilt family, who back in the 1800s were one of the richest families in America. Cornelius Vanderbilt built one of the largest railroad empires. By the time of his death in 1877, he amassed over $100 million to give an inheritance. Now, that's pretty good even by today's standards, but adjusted for inflation, that's over $3 billion in net worth. Now, the Vanderbilt family spent most of that money in a lavish lifestyle, loss of business interest, and dilution amongst heirs over time. There's not too many millionaires left in the Vanderbilt family. In fact, in 1970, there was a reunion of over 120 Vanderbilt kin
Oh, boy. Do you know where that was?
That was over at the Biltmore Mansion, one of the famous landmarks of the family.
All right.
Yep. So they got together, and not a single one of those 120 had over $1 million in net worth.
Wow.
So we're going to talk about what you could be doing, whether you're the Cornelius of your family or the heir to the family fortune, to not only build but maintain that wealth for your children and grandchildren.
So you're going to go through the various generations, starting with the baby boomers?
We're going to start with the youngest generation.
Oh, the youngest generation. All right, start from the bottom and build
Yeah,
up.
we're gonna
So
build up
what are they
there.
called?
So we have Generation Beta.
Oh,
That might not be one that many have heard from. Generation Beta is anybody under 1 year of age. So
Okay.
still in diapers, probably not listening to our show right now. But if you have a child or grandchild in that generation, here's what you could be doing to set them up.
you know, I
for
understand our
success.
show is very soothing, puts a lot of people to sleep, so it might be good for the babies. What do you think?
That's a good idea,
How
Joe.
about that? All right. So tell us about the Generation Beta.
So new for this generation, anyone born in 2025, 26, 27, and I believe 28. We're still waiting. It's TBD, but this July we should hear more on what a Trump account could hold for this group of children, where they may be able to receive $1,000 of seed money from the government to fund this account. Now, it will work quite like a IRA, where from their birth all the way to age 18 is tax-deferred growth. And then once they turn 18, that money becomes basically act like an IRA. There's an opportunity there. So once they meet the age of majority, they can start doing Roth conversions, which then turns that tax-deferred money into tax-free money for their retirement.
So the government's going to put in 1,000,
Right.
and then mom and dad or grandparents can add to that account, right?
That's right.
How much can they add?
Up to $5,000 a year, and that's
Whoa.
indexed for inflation.
Oh,
So that's a good way.
so let's start there. Let's see. So your government's going to kick off the account with $1,000, and then you can add a total of $5,000, right?
Correct, each year. Yep.
It's not $5,000 per grandparent. It's just $5,000 total. So collectively, the family gets together and puts another $5,000 in for the baby. Over 18 years, that's $90,000.
Yeah. And that 90,000 is all tax deferred growth. Meaning you're not going to be taxes on that until you either take the money out or, at least in our current knowledge of what Trump accounts are going to be, because you can't open them quite yet, is we can convert that money over to Roth, pay tax on it when the child is in their lowest income earning years, age 18 through 20, and make that tax-free for the rest of their life.
There you go.
There you go. Some other opportunities you may have for these children is to give a gift. Call it a birth gift to not only the child, but if you're a grandparent, to the parents as well. Start funding that child's education. 529 accounts or Florida prepaid, if you're a Florida resident, are some great ways to set that child up for success.
So as a recent college graduate, did your folks use the 529 for you or Florida prepaid or?
They did. In fact, they didn't have to do too much of their own investing into that 529. In fact, there are some credit cards out there that give bonus points instead of getting air miles. You can get points into a 529 account.
Oh,
And so if you're using that as your normal daily credit card, paying off your debt and maintaining a good debt relationship, you can actually invest for your children and grandchildren without having to spend any of your own money.
there you go. I like that.
Student loans, I mean, that's one of the big issues amongst my generation, I believe. Student loans are a hamper on the free cash flow for the first 30 years of your life. So if you can do anything to help those children, that's going to set them up for not only college, but the years after as well. If they decide not to go to college, which is completely fine as well, that 529 account can be converted up to $35,000 over 5 years into a Roth IRA.
So the key is to start young.
The key is start young.
So Generation Beta, as you call it, the babies, you got a lot of, time is a great asset, as we've said time and time again. And the longer you have that money to marinate, so to speak, mature, grow on a tax-free, tax-deferred basis, the more you're going to have. So 529 plan, either through the state of Florida prepaid plan or using a combination of that with an investment plan. The earlier you start, the less it costs, and the more likelihood that the child will graduate school without some overburdening debt.
That's right. And
Okay.
I want to get through a few more generations here before our first break. So
Go
we
ahead.
got Gen Alpha and Gen Z. I find myself in Gen Z.
You're a Gen
I'm a
Zer.
Gen Zer.
What's the age
So
bracket there?
Gen Alpha is anyone from 1 years of age to age 13.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z is anyone from 14 up to 29.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone in those age ranges, you're going into school, going into high school, college, and you're getting your first job through that generation. This is the most important time to really teach some financial literacy. I mean, it's great that in Florida schools nowadays, they are requiring high schoolers to take a financial literacy class.
I don't know if you know this, but the FPA, the Financial Planning Association, was instrumental in getting that through the legislature and making it law that's required, because we see it time and time again that the biggest challenge that people have today is financial literacy, and they make the mistakes, and our job is to correct them. So
That's right. In fact, I'm actually on the board for the FPA of Central Florida. Going into what you can do for these generations. UTMA accounts. These are investment accounts for minor children where you custody the account for them until they reach age 21. And it could be a good way to teach investments to the younger generation.
And UTMA stands for?
Universal Transfer to Minors Act.
There you go. All right.
Another good thing you can be doing is we talked about those credit card points a little bit earlier that you can contribute to a 529 account. Another thing you can do once the child hits 13 is add them as an authorized user on your credit cards and start building up their credit score. That can be great when they go to buy their first home or need to make a car purchase. Of course, not giving a 13-year-old your credit card, but just adding them as an authorized user may be a nice tactic for you.
Yep. Well, I hear the bumper music, Josh. We'll be back after the break with more generational information about finances. So stay tuned.
Thank you much. If you want to join the conversation, if you want to plan the wealth for your next generation, lines are open for you at 844-580-9326, 844-580-WDBO. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
Today.
with the Certified Financial Group.
Has been chosen once again as one of the top 100 financial advisory firms by CNBC out of nearly 40,000. And because they won't divulge the selection criteria, asked my colleagues what they thought.
Maybe it's because our history dates back almost 50 years.
Could be because we're independent, but we custody with national firms like Fidelity and others.
17 CFP professionals under one roof.
Or it could be because we're CFEX certified.
And a real person answers the phone.
In any case, we're proud to have been selected. So if you're looking for financial planning or investment advice for a fee, look us up online.
You may be new to the area, but we're not. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries and providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly trust. Insist on using a CFEX certified advisor.
So you guys don't know Chicago, but I'm sure in your neighborhood you guys have an old school butcher where you walk in and there's a bunch of guys, no gloves, big white aprons, and there's Frank and there's Stevie and there's Mikey. And these guys know more about meat and more about animals and more about cooking the meat than any of us will ever learn. And so you walk in, you say, "Hey, Lou, I need to, I'm barbecuing this weekend, right? What do you like?" And Lou goes to the big racks of stuff he has underneath the glass, and he goes, the veal chops, just in from Argentina, they are the bomb. And you go, veal? Oh, I like veal. Well, what do you got on skirt steak? Oh, we got some great skirt steak. Just came in yesterday from Montana. Skirt steak is one of my favorite, marinated up a little bit. It's fantastic. Lou will never say to you, Elliot, it's a little long on the meat here, big guy. Your cholesterol is getting high. Why don't you go down to the fishmonger a couple blocks and have a nice piece of salmon? Right? He'll never do that. Why? His job is to sell me meat, and I go in, actually the same way I go into the Toyota dealership, because I like Toyotas, and I trust the salesman to sell me a good product if I trust him. And the fact that he's got my interest at heart vis-a-vis my expectations for selling me that thing. By the same token, when I go to see a dietitian, I know she's going to look at all of my labs, she's going to take all the measurements, she's going to run all of her analysis, and she's going to absolutely give me her best thinking on what's best for me, whether she's a vegetarian.
Money here on WDBO AM 580, always streaming inside your very own WDBO app. We got Grant Kennedy and Joe Bert, two certified financial planners with the Certified Financial Group, available to you live at 844-580-9326, 844-580 WDBO. And the topic, Grant and Joe, we're talking about building generational wealth for that next generation.
Yeah, we started out with Gen Beta, which I had not heard before, and that's the new babies.
That's the new babies.
Yeah. And then we have Gen Alpha, those between ages of 1 and 13, and then we talked about Gen Z, which is you, huh?
Yeah, we're jumping into to wrap up Gen Z. These are all the builders of the financial foundation, making sure you have a good relationship with your money early on. Gen Z is age 14 to 29, so those in high school, going into college, getting their first job. What's most important for them is to start saving early. As soon as they get that first job, look to see what your employer has for employer plans, whether they have a 401k, 401a, 403b, and making sure you start deferring your income as early as you can. The earlier you start saving for the retirement, the more that there will be for you at the end.
Let me ask you a question. You're a recent grad.
Mm-hmm.
You were in the business school, in the wealth management program. What's it called there in the University of Florida?
The University Financial Professionals Development Program.
Okay, so you were immersed into what we do, and that's how you chose this as a profession. But your classmates, those that did not pursue that went into some other direction, regardless of what it was, what do you see the financial literacy for them? Do they know that 1 and 1 equals 2, or are they still trying to figure out a checkbook?
That's a dangerous game because you look towards your peers for what you should be doing, and you never know what their financial situation is. They may be living a lavish lifestyle, but you don't know how much debt they're racking up or whether they can really afford to go on those vacations each year. sometimes they're not the best sounding board for financial literacy.
They're living on a credit card.
Yeah.
Perhaps. And that's one of the worst things to do is, and when I was taking my kids to look at colleges years ago, I don't know if they still do it today, where the banks and credit card companies have booths set up. They're giving you T-shirts and hot dogs and anything else you want to sign up for a credit card. And you can get 3 or 4 credit cards, and then you're living on those, and you graduate from school, and you've got all this debt on top of your student debt.
Yeah, that's why it's important for everyone out there who has a good knowledge of financials or work with a CFP to instill that knowledge on the next generation. Talk to them, mentor them on what are good financial decisions.
So what should the Gen Zers be looking at?
Start saving into that 401k early. AARP recommends to have enough money by retirement, age 60, 67, I believe they shoot for. So depending if that is your timeline or not, they recommend one-time salary by age 30. To get to that, if you started at age 22, assuming a 5% rate of return, so pretty moderate there, you'll need to defer 10% of your income each year.
So what they're saying, by age 30, you ought to have 1 year's of your salary in your 401k.
That is right.
Okay.
So at very least, use that what I call the champagne tower analogy. So start with that emergency fund, get your employer match, and keep flowing that champagne tower as you pour more and more in there down into those brokerage accounts and start saving up more and more there.
All right.
Yeah.
What else?
It's a big decision for a lot of Gen Z people whether to continue renting or buy a home. Right?
You're going through that decision right now.
I am a renter, and I'm probably going to continue renting for a while now. The housing market is a little high for many people in my generation out there. We always look for is take your gross income, multiply that by 28%, and that is the upper limit of what your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance should be for home expenses, right? So sometimes it makes more sense to rent. You're not building equity, but you could be saving and investing that money elsewhere.
And the key is to invest it. Don't,
Right.
It's the discipline, I think, getting started and understanding what your needs are versus your wants, which is always a difficult thing to do. Even seasoned citizens have trouble with that. But that's the key, and figure out what you want to do. So tell us more.
That's right. We're going to jump into the next generation here, those that are building wealth. I hear some music there.
We got the bumper music, Josh, so take it away. We'll be back after the break.
Yep. We'll get more with Grant Kennedy's champagne breakdown. So it's going to be a good time here on WDBO. If you want to join the conversation, 844-580-9326. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
today
with the Certified Financial Group.
What is a fiduciary? When it comes to investing, a fiduciary is legally required to act in your best interest. For 40 years, planners at Certified Financial Group have been guiding our local clients toward financial peace of mind. The rest of the world is still catching up, but our team of certified financial planners are the local, experienced fiduciaries you can trust. Certified Financial Group are your Central Florida planners. Call us today.
CFG has been chosen once again as one of the top 100 financial advisory firms by CNBC out of nearly 40,000. And because they won't divulge the selection criteria, asked my colleagues what they thought.
Maybe it's because our history dates back almost 50 years.
Could be because we're independent, but we custody with national firms like Fidelity and others.
17 CFP professionals under one roof.
Or it could be because we're CFEX certified.
And a real person answers the phone.
In any case, we're proud to have been selected. So if you're looking for financial planning or investment advice for a fee, look us up online. You may be new to the area, but we're not. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries and providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly trust. Insist on using a CFEX certified advisor.
So you guys don't know Chicago, but I'm sure in your neighborhood you guys have an old school butcher where you walk in and there's a bunch of guys, no gloves, big white aprons, and there's Frank and there's Stevie and there's Mikey. And these guys know more about meat and more about animals and more about cooking the meat than any of us will ever learn. And so you walk in and you say, hey, Lou, I need to, I'm barbecuing this weekend, right? What do you like? And Lou goes to the big racks of stuff he has underneath the glass, and he goes, the veal chops, just in from Argentina, they are the bomb. And you go, veal, oh, I like veal. Well, what do you got on skirt steak? Oh, we got some great skirt steak, just came in yesterday from Montana. Skirt steak is one of my favorite, marinated up a little bit, it's fantastic. Lou will never say to you, Elliot, it's a little long on the meat here, big guy, your cholesterol is getting high. Why don't you go down to the fishmonger a couple blocks and have a nice piece of salmon? Right? He'll never do that. Why? His job is to sell me meat, and I go in, actually the same way I go into the Toyota dealership, because I like Toyotas, and I trust the salesman to sell me a good product if I trust him. And the fact that he's got my interest at heart vis-a-vis my expectations for selling me that thing. By the same token, when I go to see a dietitian, I know she's going to look at all of my labs, she's going to take all the measurements, she's going to run all of her analysis, and she's going to absolutely give me her best thinking on what's best for me. Whether she's a vegetarian or a meat lover, likes this, likes that, if she thinks I should be doing something differently, even if it's not good for her, she's going to give me an opinion that's for my interest. So what's the difference between a fiduciary and the brokers? Well, these are dietitians, these are butchers. It's that simple. Brokers are butchers selling product. Fiduciaries are dietitians looking after your health. The problem is most people think that their butcher is a dietitian. So when one of your moms or dads or friends calls the broker,
Welcome back to On the Money here on WDBO AM 580, always streaming inside your very own WDBO app. Today, like every Saturday at 9, we got two certified financial planners from the Certified Financial Group here to answer your questions. We got Grant Kennedy and Joe Bert taking your calls at 844-580-9326. 844-580 WDBO. The first half of the show, Grant, a self-described Gen Z financial planner, he was walking us through how to prepare for each generations of financial wealth, and I, a millennial with two Gen Alpha kids, has been rapidly taking notes, and Randy's calling in because Randy wants to get a little bit more info. Randy, go ahead. You're on the air with the Certified Financial Group.
Morning, Randy. What's up?
Yeah. Hey, how you guys doing? Long-time listener, first-time caller. Just on the, while you have a young person that's joined your group, congratulations, Grant. Really trying to get a perspective of what the view is now of what a tax-efficient strategy that my wife and I can use, like trusts or things that we can transfer assets while balancing our current lifestyle.
Well, I think the starting point is to have a plan. One of the things that we see happen occasionally is folks will come in. In fact, we've had some lottery winners, and this is a sad situation. Lottery winners, you have sudden wealth, and all of a sudden their money is disappearing because they feel very generous to family members and so forth and neighbors, and before you know it, the wealth is gone. So the basic point is you need to have a plan to know what you need for your own, maintain your own lifestyle, and then what's left, then you have to decide how to best handle that. So what would you suggest, Grant?
Yeah, Randy, thanks for calling in. Financial planning is a case of what they call on the airplane of put your mask on before you help others. It's
I like
important.
that.
Yeah, it's
They
important.
teach you that
to
in
make
school?
Sure,
Yeah, that's
just
pretty
come
good.
up with it on the spot, It's important to make sure you're well taken care of through your entire lifetime before you start planning for the next generation. But if you are in a position to help the next generation, sometimes it's a combination of giving while you're still alive. It's important to make sure your children are in a good financial situation and aren't waiting around, for that check at the end of life, because that's never a great scenario where there is sudden wealth all of a sudden.
So are you looking for answers for children or grandchildren or both, Randy?
Both. It's more, really kind of thinking about how we structure our portfolio. We've got a couple of properties, and it's, how do I minimize my, estate taxes and things like that, and maximize, the wealth that I want to pass on to, to build on that generational wealth. We're all about, giving not just to the kids, for the grandkids, and trying to build for that future for everybody.
Sure.
Absolutely. So breaking down your taxable, tax deferred, and tax free assets is always a great start. Those taxable assets, those long-term gain type assets, will get a step up in basis. Those are some of the most efficient assets to give, like your home and brokerage accounts. Those tax deferred assets like 401ks and IRAs can sometimes be an inheritance time bomb. The recent Secure Act changes have limited the usefulness of an IRA and tax deferred. Once you give those to an adult child or grandchild, they can be locked into a 10-year clock to distribute all of that, and it's all ordinary income. That's one of the things that we deal with a lot now, is how do we move some of those tax deferred assets into a Roth IRA by Roth conversion. If it's your plan to give an inheritance to your children or grandchildren, a Roth IRA can be one of the best ways to do it, because you're paying the tax in your, whether it's in your retirement or later on. And instead of giving that to your children in their prime working years where they could have a high tax rate themselves.
Now, one of the beauties of what we're able to do today, Randy, with the sophisticated software that we have is to model these various options that are out there, the tools that we have available to our clients to accomplish what you want to do. And as Grant said, you want to be sure that you have a good understanding of what's taxable, tax deferred, tax free, what your needs are both now and in the future, and where to draw those, and then look at what your objectives are. Grant touched on those early on in the program. I don't know if you were listening, but getting your grandchildren or children started early on with the 529 plans, prepaid college plans, and in all the states, perhaps getting them started and buying a home and gifting and all those kinds of areas. So there's a lot of things that could be done, but once again, you don't want to do it haphazardly because you could be creating yourself a tax problem and not being made aware of it. One of the more important ways to pass on property is through a step-up in basis. For our listeners that might not be familiar with that, Grant, let's tell them what a step-up in basis is versus just giving away a gift or some property today.
Yeah, so when you buy your home or buy a asset in a taxable account, you pay the cost of it, and that's your basis. All throughout the years that you own that asset, there's long-term gains if it's a long-term gain type asset, and eventually when you do pass on, there's a step up. So no longer is it what you paid for in the past as the taxable basis. It is a step up to whatever the fair market value is at the day of your death, which is a grim thought, but tax-wise, it's a very effective strategy.
So give me an example.
So imagine you buy an Apple back in 2013 for $1,000, and it's grown over the years, and now you have $10,000 or whatever it would have grown to. If you sold that now and gave the cash to your children or grandchildren, that would be a $9,000 long-term capital gain to you.
Right.
But if you hold that until you pass on, it would then step up to whatever the fair market value is at the time of your passing, and your children would inherit that asset, be able to sell it, and pay little to no tax.
Yes. So whether you sell it now or if you give the asset today, you feel good. Here's my Apple stock. I only paid $1,000 for it. It's worth $10,000 today. So here's the stock. They inherit your basis, so they're going to take it over at $1,000. They'd have to pay taxes on the capital gains. But as Grant said, if they inherit the stock, they get it at $10,000, could turn around and sell it tomorrow at no taxes. So those are all the kinds of things that we do as certified financial planners, which Grant has been schooled in very thoroughly, Grant. And those are the things to look at. But there's a lot of possibilities and also a lot of pitfalls, Randy. So the key is, if you want to accomplish these things, I would suggest that you sit down with a certified financial planner, have him or her look at your financial situation, be sure that you and your partner are taken care of for the long term, and then what's left, as I said, let's figure out what you want to do in the time frame in which you want to do it. Does that help you?
Oh, fantastic information. Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate the call, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you much, Randy. We're going to kick it in Georgia. We must have that billboard activated in Georgia today because Beth is calling in. And Beth's got a question again about her grandkids. Go ahead, Beth. You're live on the air.
Good morning, Beth. What's up?
Good morning. So just curious, I was listening where Grant had mentioned that you could transfer a college fund to a Roth IRA for a child. Is it possible to take one? I have some leftover money in one because my daughter got a scholarship and didn't need all the money we had set aside for college. Is it possible to and I'm a new grandma, so is it possible for me to transfer that money and put it into a Roth IRA for my granddaughter instead of just leaving it or having to cash it out?
Well, it's important to note who is the beneficiary on that 529, and you can always change the beneficiary on a 529 to your grandchildren, and then that way it continues to grow tax deferred into the future. And if they do decide to take that money out for qualified education expenses, that's a tax-free distribution there. So it may not make sense right now to convert that to Roth, but maybe in the future.
Did I hear you say, Beth, though, that you have a Roth and you want to convert that to a Roth for your grandchildren?
No, I just wasn't sure if the 529 could transfer from my daughter, what I could do with it. Could I transfer it to my granddaughter's name and get it set up for her, or could I, what are the possibilities with it?
Right. So you can transfer that beneficiary and continue the 529. The important thing about those Roth conversions from 529 to a Roth IRA is they do need earned income. So I don't know how old your granddaughter is, but If they're under 10, they might not be working quite yet, and they do need that earned income to do the Roth conversion.
Does that help you,
That's
Beth?
extremely helpful. Thank you so much.
Okay, appreciate
I really
the call.
appreciate it.
I appreciate the call. I saw you're watching on Facebook. We appreciate the live audience there as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great day.
You do the same.
Thank you much, Beth. Let's try and get one more caller in before the break. Again, if you don't get on the air for this episode, we do have Rodney Ownby taking your calls live off the air at 407-869-9800, 407-869-9800. Let's go right to Joe, who's calling back in Florida. We're back in the Sunshine State. Joe in Celebration, you're live with the Certified Financial Group.
Hello, Joe.
Good morning. Good morning. Got a question along the lines of I'm very well aware of the stepped-up bases. However, I'm managing property out of state, and it's in a very tough town to be a lessor. Let's put it that way. And my goal would be to have a long-term capital gain of substantial long-term capital gain. And I'm well aware I'll pay the taxes on it and jump off a cliff. Would that be the year? And I know it affects the IRMA,
right.
And I know my bottom line is Social Security. I'm well aware of that and willing to take the hit. And instead of, I was going to 1031, IRS 1031 to Florida, but I'd be overpaying for property, in my opinion, and buying a job here. So my question is, if I take the long-term capital gain, take the hit, would that be a good year for me to do a complete Roth conversion from an IRA?
No, because
I'm jumping off the cliff.
Well,
Go ahead.
you're maybe making a bad situation worse.
Okay.
I see what you're saying. In other words, get all the misery over at one time.
Get it all off in one year, right?
My gut tells me that's probably not a good idea. What do you think, Grant?
No, it's doubling up on that. You're going to be paying probably depending on how large of a Roth conversion and how much capital gains tax you're going to have, you're going to be paying 20% on those capital gains plus net investment income tax if you're falling within that range, as well as maybe the highest income tax bracket as well.
Yeah. So you could really be adding fuel to the fire, which is not a good idea. Joe, if you haven't done so, I would suggest that you sit down with a certified financial planner and have him or her model that out for you to look at the timing of that Roth conversion and look at what really the tax consequences are of this whole transaction. And that should help clarify it for you. Sorry, I can't give you more specifics, but our guts tell us that it's not a good idea to get whacked over the head because you may not recover from the injury.
Okay. Another quick generational question. Can you do anything for future grandchildren? Not born yet. I have 3 sons. No grandchildren.
That's what we call planning tomorrow today, Joe. No, you can't. No, they have to have a Social Security number.
That is great. Thank you so much, Joe. We're going to hang on here through the break. We got to take a quick commercial break. Live weather from Michelle Wargo. Live news, from Michelle Wargo. We're going to be coming up here. 844-580-9326. You are listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow.
Today.
With the Certified Financial Group.
What is a fiduciary? When it comes to investing, a fiduciary is legally required to act in your best interest. For 40 years, planners at Certified Financial Group have been guiding our local clients toward financial peace of mind. The rest of the world is still catching up, but our team of certified financial planners are the local, experienced fiduciaries you can trust. Certified Financial Group are your Central Florida planners. Call us today.
40 years ago, I had a dream.
CFG has been chosen once again as one of the top 100 financial advisory firms by CNBC of nearly 40,000. And because they won't divulge the selection criteria, asked my colleagues what they thought.
Maybe it's because our history dates back almost 50 years.
Could be because we're independent, but we custody with national firms like Fidelity and others.
17 CFP professionals under one roof.
Or it could be because we're CFEX certified.
And a real person answers the phone.
In any case, we're proud to have been selected. So if you're looking for financial planning or investment advice for a fee, look us up online.
You may be new to the area, but we're not. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries and providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly trust. Insist on using a CFEX certified advisor.
So you guys don't know Chicago, but I'm sure in your neighborhood you guys have an old school butcher where you walk in and there's a bunch of guys, no gloves, big white aprons, and there's Frank and there's Stevie and there's Mikey. And these guys know more about meat and more about animals and more about cooking the meat than any of us will ever learn. And so you walk in, you say, "Hey, Lou, I need to, I'm barbecuing this weekend, right? What do you like?" And Lou goes to the big racks of stuff he has underneath the glass, and he goes, the veal chops, just in from Argentina, they are the bomb. And you go, veal? Oh, I like veal. Well, what do you got on skirt steak? Oh, we got some great skirt steak. Just came in yesterday from Montana. Skirt steak is one of my favorite, marinated up a little bit. It's fantastic. Lou will never say to you, Elliot, it's a little long on the meat here, big guy. Your cholesterol is getting high. Why don't you go down to the fishmonger a couple blocks and have a nice piece of salmon? Right? He'll never do that. Why? His job is to sell me meat, and I go in.
Back to On the Money here on WDBO AM 580, always streaming inside your WDBO app. A debut of Grant Kennedy here with Joe Bert, two certified financial planners with the Certified Financial Group. And just before we go back to Joe here for a second, I do want to say Rodney Ownby is available to you as this show comes to a close for an off-air call at 407-869-8255. 9800. 407 869 9800. And Grant, Joe, we got a caller from Joe in Celebration who wanted to take your motto, planning tomorrow today, and wanted to plan a hypothetical tomorrow. He had a question about planning for unborn grandchildren.
Yes, and I was quick on the trigger there and said you need a Social Security number. But Aaron, who listens to our show, Aaron Bert, another certified financial planner here with us, texted in and reminded me, there are other alternatives, Grant, right?
That's right. There's something called a dynasty trust. And throwing back to the Vanderbilts, this is actually what they had established. So it's a way to plan in a written legal document that your inheritance would pass not only to your children, but their children, and so on and so forth, avoiding some estate tax and generation skipping tax that could occur.
So there are ways to do it. It needs to be set up by an attorney. But Joe, if you're still listening, you can be doing some planning today for tomorrow today. or something like that. So our topic today was planning through the generations. As I said at the opening of our show, we've been blessed now working close to the fourth generation of clients here at Certified Financial Group, being around now for almost 50 years. And we do deal with the second and third generation. And now we've got Generation Alpha, Generation Beta, which are the children that are just newly born. We talked about the Trump accounts, which are coming up in July. Then Gen Alpha, those are between the ages of 1 and 13. We cover that. And Gen Z, which is the recent college, the youngers and recent college graduates, like my friend here, Grant, between the ages of 14 and 29. We talked about that. And they were working in the millennials to be the next bunch, right?
Yeah, that's right. We were really blessed, especially on my first time on air here, to have some great audience calls in. But I did want to get to the millennials, the Gen X, the baby boomers, and the silent generation. Maybe that'll be a part 2 to this radio show.
Another iteration of Grant Kennedy walking through the generations. But once again, these are the things that Grant and I and the 15 other certified financial planners do for our clients day in and day out, looking at retirement planning, tax planning, investment planning, wealth management. We do that for a fee, but on Saturday morning, as I said, we're here for you free. And we hope we brought you some good information this morning. I want to mention the upcoming workshop a week from today. Dave Bella Christian will be hosting a workshop on planning through the 4 stages of retirement, what you need to look at, converting those Roths, and all that stuff in between. And that is absolutely free at 10 o'clock here at our offices, at our Learning Center up in Altamont Springs. So if you want more information about that, go to our website. That's financialgroup.com, financialgroup.com, and we'll see you then.
Thank you so much, Joe, and great job, Grant. Another great episode. A lot of good interaction here with the callers. Everybody wanting to look ahead to that next generation, which is why we are planning tomorrow. Today. Oh, yeah. We got Rodney Omby taking your calls off the air. 407-869-9800. One more time. You are listening to On the Money, where we are planning tomorrow with that Certified Financial Group.